Hey, Buzz, are you okay?
Gone! It's all gone. All of it's gone. Bye-bye. Woo, see ya.
What happened to you?
One minute you're defending the whole galaxy, and suddenly you find yourself sucking down Darjeeling with Marie Antoinette and her little sister.
I think you've had enough tea for today. Let's get you out of here, Buzz.
Don't you get it? You see the hat? I am Mrs. Nesbit.
Snap out of it, Buzz!
Hello, men. I have a certain fascination with older games. Not incredibly old, but old enough to be called old. And sometimes when I discover an old game I really like, I get invested, and I like to explore its online presence. I instinctively want to know more, and maybe even engage in its community, and perhaps contribute towards the longevity of a game's legacy. I did, and still do this with games like Cave Story, my all-time favorite game, which indirectly inspired me to be an artist. That's why I hold it in such a high regard. But this one lacked an online presence, like yours truly. It had no community, no forums, and barely any traces of info on the internet. Arvale, Journey of Illusion, is one of 3 games in a game series that has been largely forgotten about on the internet, technically one of 4 if you count Arvale short stories. I played this game through the first time a year ago or so, maybe 2, and that's where my current fascination originates from. It also apparently won an award for being the best action RPG for Pocket PCs. Nice segue to what a Pocket PC is, actually, since nowadays it's more or less a dead lineup of products. These things were like bridges between smartphones and cell phones with some PC aspects. It's like an inbred child. Ooh, maybe I shouldn't have made that joke. It's interesting to look back at this era, especially when most of these devices were subsequently replaced by smartphones of today. Curiously enough, most modern kids of my age look up stuff we don't know about on the internet. So that's what I did. How surprising! It's really hard to get concrete info on this game. Even specifying the release date required extensive research on multiple defunct websites. But after some research, I concluded the game was released in 2004 on November 18th by JBot7, published by PDA Mill. And with that information out of the way, let's get into the backstory of Arvale Journey of Illusion. JBot7, or Jason Surgeon as his real life name, is or was an indie game developer. I have no idea, he haven't made a game in a while. Born in Dallas, Texas, he was a musician who was interested in getting into game making somehow. He started out as a reviewer on a now shut down website called pocketgamer.org to have an idea of what he's getting into. Apparently he always wanted to get into game making, and throughout his reviewer career, some developers reached out to him for some help with in terms of audio. In 2001, he collaborated on a game called Argentum, a real-time strategy game with John Romero. You cannot make this shit up. What the fuck? Eventually, he would get to meet a dude from, get this, Hungary, who was named Balogh Péter. God, the topic suddenly feels so at home. If you didn't know until now, I'm actually Hungarian. Balogh Péter used to work at a Finnish company named Syntect Oy? It had to do something with Nokia or something. Yeah, don't even quote me on the pronunciation either. After Péter had a successful game named Snails, which suspiciously sounds like worms from Team 17, he went on to quit his job at Finland, go back to Hungary, and founded the company PDA Mill. Jason later moved to Hungary to become a full-time employee at PDA Mill. They made some small games, all of them earning a small amount of success, until they decided to tackle a large-scale role-playing game, which eventually formed into Arvale. And thus, we come back to Arvale. Arvale Journey of Illusion is a turn-based RPG with honestly quite a big repertoire of locations and NPCs, jokes, and of course, how could I leave this to the end? Wheelbarrows. It's a pretty standard RPG with a solid story overall, though its controls really didn't age well, taking into consideration that it was made for pocket PCs. And, you know, those look like this. The resolution of the game also isn't the most optimal. This one is quite bothersome, but you just have to get used to it. The sprite work are... well, I could say that it's a product of its time. Unique, kinda lacking, but still holds a lot of charm even after 20 years. The soundtrack, though, is a real marvel. Though it doesn't use that many quote-unquote instruments, the ones it uses really mashed well together, actually making for quite a compelling and unique soundtrack. Despite being an RPG, there isn't that much grinding involved in the game. Most of your necessary money, items, and skill points can be just acquired by playing through the story naturally and by exploring around. The game received critical acclaim on launch and winning the Best RPG for Pocket PCs award in 2005 from Best Software Awards 2005. Man, the internet was such a cute place back then. But it wasn't only released on Pocket PCs. Interestingly enough, it was also released on iOS, which drew in my attention, and I wanted to see if the game is still up in the App Store. So I yoinked my mother's iPhone she just upgraded from, cause I own an Android. Don't judge or else I will fucking ban your ass from the comment section. Sadly, the games has been taken down from the App Store when PDA mail shut down after 2016. I can't exactly tell you when PDA mail shut down, cause Wayback Machine lags any saves between June of 2016 and June 2019, but I predict they shut down in late 2016. Journey of Illusion's success inspired the devs to put out more Arvale games, of course. First one being a spin-off of the original, called Arvale 2: Ocean of Time, which, according to its description, has double the content as Journey of Illusion. Not surprisingly enough, this game also won a Best RPG game for Pocket PCs in 2006. It's about a guy named John DeMacHugh who gets blackmailed into finding timepieces, but it's pretty good. It's pretty good. I recommend. They also released another game which contained the first game's cast members, actually being a direct sequel to Journey of Illusion. And this game, oh this game, I have a couple of gripes with this one. You see, it kinda ditches its roots and decided to use
RPG Maker
as its engine, destroying almost everything you grew to know about the previous two games. The game looks like this. Now, yeah, you have to admit, the graphics look better, yeah. But I like the originals because of the old wonky art style. Treasure of Memories looks like kind of any generic
RPG Maker
game, and it's kind of meh to me. The devs have largely abandoned this game also, leaving the few people who bought it in the dust with unoptimized menu screens. Yes, unoptimized menu screens, which even saying out loud causes me fucking trauma. I cannot tell you what Jason's doing these days. He hasn't really updated his website for a couple of years, and I have gone through it multiple times during the research for this video, and I couldn't find any recent activity by the guy either. Only time could tell if he's still out there making games, or just working in another field after all these years. During the research process for this video, I kind of went from a guy who enjoyed this one small unknown game and just wanted to find out if there are any others doing the same, to a guy invested in the remains of the lost long Arvale fandom, trying to dig up its past and discover how it used to be in its prime. It's really interesting to see how this small pocket PC game's fanbase, which wasn't really small mind you, lasted for quite a while in the early years of the internet, and how gradually it's faded into obscurity. I'm not expecting much attention on this video, especially when I'm talking about such a niche and obscure game, and considering this circumstances, but if by a small chance Jason or anyone that was involved in the making of Arvale Journey of Illusion sees this video, drop a comment, and don't be afraid to do it in Hungarian either, mert ahogyan mondtam, én is magyar vagyok. And with that, I end this documentary video. Don't expect a return to regular uploads. I lost my sense of direction and I'm kind of afraid to upload. Ever since the incident a few months ago, I still haven't recovered. Goodbye.